ಶ್ರೀರಂಗಪಟ್ಟಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಇದು ಕಾವೇರಿ ನದಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನೀರು ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗಿತ್ತು, ಅದರ ಗುಣಮಟ್ಟ ಸರಿ ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಶ್ರೀರಂಗಪಟ್ಟಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಮನುಷ್ಯರಿಂದ ಉತ್ಪತ್ತಿ ಆಗತಕ್ಕಂತ ಮಲಿನ ನೀರು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕಾವೇರಿಗೆ ಸೇರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಮದ್ದೂರಲ್ಲೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ, ಮದ್ದೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಮಲಿನ ನೀರು ಆ ಶಿಂಷಾ ರಿವರ್ಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ, ಶಿಂಷಾ ನದಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ನೋಡಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಮದ್ದೂರ್ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಅದೇನು ಹೊಳೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಅದು ಹೊಳೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಸ ಮುನಿಗಳು ಅವಾಗನ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ವ್ಯಾಸ ರಾಯರು. ಇವಾಗ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಹೊಳೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯ ಹೆಸರಿದೆ, ಹೊಳೆನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಮಳೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊಳೆ ಬರ್ಬೇಕು. ಸೊ ಇದು ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನದಿಗೆ ಅಣೆಕಟ್ಟು ಕಟ್ಟೋದ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನೀರ್ ಏನ್ ಫುಲ್ 8 ತಿಂಗಳು ಹರಿತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ನದಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲಿವರೆಗಿದೆಯೋ ಅಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು, ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಜನರು ಅದರ ನೀರ್ ಕುಡಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ನೀವು ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬೇಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿರಲ್ಲ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿರಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದೇನದು ಶಿಂಷಾ ರಿವರ್ ಹರಿಯುತ್ತಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು 20-25 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್. ಆ 25 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು, ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳು ಆ ಜಾಗ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾವೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅವಕ್ಕೆ ಕುಡಿಯೋಕೆ ಬೇಸಿಗೆನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಸಹ ಅದು ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲ. ನೀವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದ್ರೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಫ್ಲೋ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಮ್ದ ಈ ಶಿಂಷಾ ರಿವರ್ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ, ಶಿಂಷಾ ನದಿಲಂತೂ ಒಂದು 25 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ರಿವರ್ ಹೊನ್ನಾಳಿಯಿಂದ ಹೊಸಪೇಟೆವರೆಗೂ 200 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಬೇಸಿಗೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಒಣಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಹೊಳೆ ಆಂಜನೇಯನ ಹತ್ರ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀರನ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಒಣಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗ್ತದೆ. ಬೇಸಿಗೆ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಹೊನ್ನಾಳಿ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ರಿವರ್ ನೋಡಿ, ಅಷ್ಟು ನೀವು ಹೊಸಪೇಟೆವರೆಗೂ ನೀರೇ ಇರಲ್ಲ ಅದ್ರೊಳಗಡೆ. ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ನೀರ್ ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನು ಇರೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 200 ಕಿಲೋಮೀಟರ್ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಗಳು ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಮೊದ್ಲೇ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ನೀರ್ ಹರಿತಾ ಇರುವಾಗ 8 ತಿಂಗಳವರೆಗೂ ನೀರ್ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಸೊ ಅಟ್ಲೀಸ್ಟ್ ಅವು 8 ತಿಂಗಳು ಆಗಿ ಬರೀ 1 ಅಥವಾ 2 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇರೆ ಕಡೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದ್ವು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮಳೆ ಬರ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು, ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀರ್ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅವಕ್ಕೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ತುಂಗಭದ್ರಾ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ಗಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ನೀವು ಕಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಭದ್ರಾವತಿಗೆ ಹತ್ರ ಭದ್ರಾ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದಿರಾ, ಶಿವಮೊಗ್ಗದ ಹತ್ರ ತುಂಗಾ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಿದಿರಾ. ಸೊ ತುಂಗಾ ಮತ್ತು ಭದ್ರಾ ಎರಡು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಬೇಸಿಗೆನಲ್ಲಿ ಹರಿಯೋದೇ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಸೊ ಹರಿದೇ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಸಸ್ಟೈನಬಲ್ ಡೆವಲಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅದೇ ತರ ಕ್ಲೈಮೇಟ್ ಆಕ್ಷನ್, ಅಫೋರ್ಡಬಲ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ನಾವು ಈಗ ರಿಯಲಿ ಏನ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದೀವೋ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಲನ್ನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. 60% ವಾಯು ಮಾಲಿನ್ಯ ಕಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಲಿಂದ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಈ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ನಾವೇನು ಲೈಟಿಂಗ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂತೀವಿ, ಮನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ಲೈಟಿಂಗು, ಕಾರ್ಖಾನೆಗಳಿಗೆ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿ ಏನು ಉಪಯೋಗಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೀವೋ ಇವ್ಯಾವ ಕ್ಲೀನರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಕ್ಲೀನರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೋಲಾರ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸೂರ್ಯನ ಶಾಖದಿಂದ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಗಾಳಿಯ ಫೋರ್ಸ್ ನಿಂದ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಭೂಮಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಕೆಲವು ಬಿಸಿ ನೀರಿನ ಬುಗ್ಗೆಗಳಿದಾವೆ ಅದರ ಹೀಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ಪಡೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಎನರ್ಜಿಯನ್ನ ರೆಡಿ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಅಥವಾ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು. ನಾ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನೀರಿರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಬಟ್ ನೀರಿನಿಂದ ಏನು ಜಲಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿಯನ್ನು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದು ಸಹ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಎಕೋ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಲಿ ಅಂತಾನೆ ಅದನ್ನು ಕರೆಯೋದು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ, ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಅಥವಾ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಅಂತ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಂತೂ ನಮ್ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿ. 1 ವರ್ಷದವರೆಗೂ ಇರೋಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ 6 ತಿಂಗಳಿಗೆ ಕೆಟ್ಟೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ದ ಕ್ಲೀನ್ ಒನ್. ದೆನ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಅಂತ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಯಾವಾಗ ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೋ ಅವಾಗ ಮಾತ್ರ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ 1 ವರ್ಷ ಬರ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿರೋ ರೋಡು 6 ತಿಂಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಗುಂಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿದ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕ್ ಜಾಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಟ್ರಾಫಿಕಲ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಡೆಂಟ್ ಗಳಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅವಾಗ ಅವರು ಇನ್ಸೂರೆನ್ಸ್ ಕ್ಲೈಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಲಾಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅವಾಗ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎ ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಎನ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್. ಎಕನಾಮಿಕಲ್ ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು. 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರಂದ್ರೆ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿಗೆ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು. ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಓದಿದೀವಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ 40% ಕಮಿಷನ್ ತಗೊಂತಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಸ್ಟ್ರೈಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ 100 ರೂಪಾಯಿನಲ್ಲಿ 40 ಕಮಿಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ರೆ ಬರೀ 60 ರೂಪಾಯಿನಲ್ಲಿ ರೋಡ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು 6 ತಿಂಗಳ ಒಳಗಡೆನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹಾಳಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸೇಷನ್ ಹೇಳೋದು ಡೀಸೆಂಟ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ. ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಬೇಕೇ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಾರೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸರ್ ಎಂ ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರಯ್ಯ ಅವರು ಸ್ವಾತಂತ್ರ್ಯಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆನೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲೈಸ್ ಆರ್ ಪೆರಿಶ್. ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರಯ್ಯನವರು KRS ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ ಕಟ್ಟದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಮಂಡ್ಯ ಕಂಪ್ಲೀಟ್ ಹಸಿರು ಕ್ರಾಂತಿ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಸೊ ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಖಾನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸಿ ಅಥವಾ ಇಲ್ದಂಗಾಗಿ ಪ್ಯಾರಿಶ್ ಆಗಿ. ಸೊ ಕಾರ್ಖಾನೆಗಳು ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ಯುವಕರಿಗೆ ಏನೇನ ಕೆಲಸ ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಇವಾಗಂತೂ ಬಿಡಿ 130 ಕೋಟಿ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ವಿಶ್ವೇಶ್ವರಯ್ಯ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ಅದು 30 ಕೋಟಿ ಅಷ್ಟಿದ್ರು ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇ ಕೆಲಸಗಳಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವಾಗ್ಲೇ ಅವ್ರು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಡ್ಯಾಮ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿ ತಯಾರಿಸೋದು, ವಿದ್ಯುತ್ ಶಕ್ತಿಯಿಂದ ಕಾರ್ಖಾನೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮಾಡೋದು, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಇರಿಗೇಷನ್ ಕೊಡೋದು, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯಕ್ಕೆ ನೀರ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಡೋದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಫಸ್ಟ್ 15 ವರ್ಷ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ? ಬಾಂಬೆ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪೂನಾದಲ್ಲಿ. ಹಲೋ, ಬಂದ್ರಾ? ಹಾ, ಓಕೆ, ನಾನು ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಅದು ಅವ್ರು ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳಕ್ಕೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಇವಾಗ ನಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ನೀವು ಕೇಳಿ. ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್.
Thank you so much, sir. Balaji sir, start ಮಾಡದ? Balaji sir. ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಸರ್. ನಾನು ಒಂದ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡೋದಾ ಸರ್? ಬಾಲಾಜಿ ಸರ್.
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ?
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಇವಾಗ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್, ಒಂದ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ ಸರ್. Good afternoon to one and all. Environmental Management and Policy Research Institute is organizing the webinar. Before we begin this webinar, I would like to welcome the participants and the resource person. Today's resource person is Shri T.K. Radhesham Balaji, Additional Director, Retired, Central Pollution Control Board, Bangalore. And today's topic is air pollution. Ensure the webinar will be profitable and fruitful everyone present here. Thank you, one and all. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, one and all. Sorry for keeping you waiting for half an hour because I was held up in a traffic. As you know that today's air pollution, I was also held in among the air pollution, vehicular pollution. I was one among them. I was also polluting. Sorry for that. So today's topic, air pollution, I would like to discuss because most of you know what are the norms of air pollution, how much should be SO2, how much should be NOx, how much should be PM10, how much should be PM2. These are all available in Google and every platform. People discuss about this only, about how much should be. Like for example, PM 2.5 should be around not more than 60 in residential areas, not more than 100 for PM10. Like that you have got norms which everybody has been discussing and you are knowing it. If you do not know, I can share it with you. Okay, that is one thing. Then I would like to go to the immediate slide. That is what you generally perceive regarding the air pollution. What is the smoke coming out of the chimneys, the smoke coming out of moving vehicles, either maybe 4-wheeler, 2-wheeler, train, bus, whatever it is. Then all of us know, but at the same time we do not know that is the pollution caused by the eruption of volcanoes and also forest fires. And another one is a amalgamation of 1, 2, 3. That is the smoke coming from chimneys, vehicles, and forest fires all together. And non-point source we call it. These are all point source. That is, if it's coming from chimney, it is coming from a point. From exhaust, it is coming from a point. Whereas forest volcano is coming from a point. Forest fire is also coming from a point, from particular source, particular place, particular area. Whereas in a city, it is not from particular area, but because in city everywhere burns many things to their convenient. In the sense, household people also they burn many things which they do not want. Many times they even burn the plastic covers also, and it is very, very dangerous. In further slides I will discuss with you what happens when you burn the plastics, what type of pollutants we come out. So I am basically concentrating on the type of pollutants we come across, because norms every one of us knows. That's why I'm not going on norms. And instead of norms, nowadays Government of India and Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has come out with a color code. That is, it has green means your area is no air pollution due to air is less. Then if it is yellow means slightly polluted. Orange means further more polluted. Then red means it is polluted. and you should not venture out. People with sensitive, that is people who have got asthma and TB, and also people with old age people, young people who are working, who are playing outside, they should not move around when the signal, red signal is shown. Similarly, then after the red, it is called severe. Severe in the sense critical. Critical. Recently, Supreme Court has directed the Delhi government that the college, schools, everything should be shut because the pollution levels has become critical. That is, just reached 5 times the prescribed norms. So prescribed norm is 100 microgram per meter cube. It has gone more than 500. So immediately Supreme Court has said, because the state governments are not able to implement properly, the Supreme Court has intervened, and they said that all the schools, colleges should be stopped, all the buses should be stopped. So like that, some norms Supreme Court has laid down, and after after bringing down the levels of pollution, then again they restored the normalcy. So this is the one we should know, that how it is going to affect our daily life. So many of us who are planning to go outside, they could not go because there was a ban on taxis, everything in New Delhi. So because of that, people could not catch flights, could not catch trains, etc. So a lot of commercial loss was there. So this we should remember. So the more we pollute, we are only getting affected. Like Corona, when we are not following the norms, we are affecting ourselves. We are not affecting others, but we are not affecting ourselves. So I'll just go to the next slide. This is a slide which is nothing but a video which tells that how the pollution is affecting, especially the children. So I have to, I'll just go and I try to make it audible. Audio, hide, video, disable. I think you should be share sound. Yes. So I'll try to now play this. You please listen to this. If you are not able to hear to me, you immediately unmute your mic and then inform me that, sir, I'm unable to hear or I'm not able to see, something like that. Immediately I'll stop and see what I can do. Okay, I'll start this video.
It's air pollution. I can't breathe because there's so much air pollution. Air is all around us. Humans aren't the only ones that rely on air. Animals, plants, trees, and all living organisms use the air around them to live. Without it, none of us could survive. The air is made up of different gases. One of the gases, oxygen, is what helps us to breathe. But did you know that our air needs to be clean? When your hands and face are dirty, you can easily clean them with soap and water. But when the air becomes dirty, it's not as easy to clean. When there is dirt and other substances in the air that shouldn't be there, it's called air pollution. Air pollution is made up of odors, particles, smoke, fumes, and other substances which can be harmful for all living creatures, including us. The substances causing the air to become dirty are called pollutants. Some examples of pollutants include gases with harmful chemicals in them, sand, dust particles, and other materials that evaporate and become pollutants. It is impossible for us to not breathe in these pollutants in the air since they exist all around us. Pollution can travel with the wind from one place to another and spread over many miles. When the air becomes polluted or unclean, it affects the Earth's atmosphere. The atmosphere is like a blanket of air which protects all life. Without the atmosphere, life could not exist. The atmosphere protects living organisms from the heat of the sun during the day, and at night it prevents most of the heat from escaping. Basically, the atmosphere helps keep the living things on Earth from becoming too hot or too cold. The pollution in the air affects this blanket and can become harmful to life on Earth if it raises the Earth's temperature by trapping too much heat inside. Pollution can be caused naturally. Natural pollution may come from volcanoes, forest fires, windstorms, pollen in the air, and other sources in nature. Even the air we breathe out, carbon dioxide, is a form of pollution. And did you know that gas the cows and other animals release pollutes the air too? Wow! If you have ever gone outside when there's a large fire burning close by, you have probably noticed the darkness in the air, even if it's in the middle of the day. You might notice that your eyes begin to burn and your throat becomes irritated too. Sometimes there will even be alerts on the news telling us that the air is harmful to breathe that day. That means the pollutants in the air have increased and it's not safe for people to go outside. Or if they have to work outside, they shouldn't stay outside for very long. This is because the pollutants in the air can affect our bodies negatively. Our lungs need clean air to breathe. When they breathe in dirty air, the dirt gets trapped in our lungs, making them dirty as well. Wind can be very helpful at those times by blowing away the dirty air. Rain and snow can wash the dirt out of the air too. Can help clean our air. Sometimes air pollution isn't caused by something in nature. Sometimes it's caused by humans. Most cars, buses, trains, and airplanes run on gasoline. People use transportation every day all over the world. That's a lot of gas and oil that's being burned and affecting our air. Other air pollution happens when smoke and fumes from factories, gasoline and power plants release poisonous gases like carbon monoxide into our atmosphere. Another way our air becomes polluted is through chemicals that we use frequently. There are chemicals that are sprayed on things we eat as they're growing. These chemicals get rid of the bugs crawling on our produce. Some farmers and homeowners use chemicals to help their plants, grass, and gardens grow. You might think that we should shut all of those factories down so they'll stop polluting our air. However, factories produce electricity, which gives us light and power that we use every day. And most things we buy from factories, like our clothes, our food, our toys and cars, etc. Now that we know what air pollution is, what are some of the effects of air pollution on our environment? When rain becomes mixed with pollution in the air, we get something called acid rain. Acid rain can cause harm to trees, animals, fish, and other organisms. The pollutants in our air can also make it harder for crops to grow. Air pollution can cause breathing problems in some people. Maybe you have heard of someone who has asthma, or maybe you do. Air pollution can be a big problem for people who already struggle to breathe. It can affect our eyes, nose, and throat by causing headaches or allergic reactions. Most of those effects will go away when the air clears up, or even if you go inside. But some effects of air pollution can cause health problems for a long time, like lung cancer and heart disease. Air pollution can sound a little scary. So how do we live in a world where there is air pollution? Maybe while watching this video, you have wondered if there was something you could do to help. Well, guess what? There is. Here is a list of things we can all do to help lessen the amount of pollution that is released into our air. Reduce fireplace use. Carpool to work or school. Ride a bike or walk to a friend's house. Don't keep a car running while you're waiting for someone or something. Turn it off. And don't smoke. Plant a tree. All of us want clean air, but we all have to do our part to have it. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe for more.
ಓಕೆ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಈ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ರ? ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇದು ನೋಡಕ್ಕಾಗಿತ್ತ? ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇದು ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಇತ್ತ? ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಆಡಿಬಲ್ ಇತ್ತ ಇದು?
ಹೌದು ಸರ್.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, ಈಗ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಟು ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ತೋರಿಸಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಧೂಳಿಕಣ ಮಾತ್ರನೇ ಇಲ್ಲ, ವಾಯು ಕಣಗಳು, ವಾಯುನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು ವಾಯು ಮಾಲಿನ್ಯ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಧೂಳು ಕಣಗಳೇ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೈನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಥವಾ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಿಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಲೈಕ್ ದಟ್ ವೇರಿಯಸ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್. ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಿರೋದೆಲ್ಲಾನು ಏರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಏರ್ ಇಸ್ ಎ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ಸೋ ಮೆನಿ ಥಿಂಗ್ಸ್. ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಏರ್ ಪ್ರಾಮಿನೆಂಟ್ಲಿ ಕನ್ಸಿಸ್ಟ್? ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಮ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿಮಮ್ ಶಾತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು ನೈಟ್ರೋಜನ್. ಸೊ 70% ಆಫ್ ಏರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೈಟ್ರೋಜನ್. ಸೊ another 20% to 16 to 20% from place to place oxygen varies. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಿಕ್ಕಿರೋದು ಹೈಡ್ರೋಜನ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅದರ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ದಿಸ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ಕನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಯೆನ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಏರ್. ಈ ಏರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಧೂಳಿಕಣಗಳು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ದೆನ್ ವಿ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ that ಧೂಳಿಕಣ only we call it particulate matter. That particulate matter comes from where? From motor vehicle exhaust, industry exhaust, and also volcanoes, forest fires, etc. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತು, which is ಧೂಳಿಕಣಗಳು. And also when heavy wind is blown on the surface of the earth, ಭೂಮಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸುವಾಗ ಧೂಳಿಕಣಗಳ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತವೆ. ಅದು then that time you, along with that, you have pollen grains which is settled there, other carbon particles which are settled on the soil, they also move up in the air. So generally air nalli most of the particles are suspended form. There are two things, one is suspended form, another is dissolved form. Gases, everything are in the dissolved form, and kanagalalla suspended form nalli irutte. So there are two types of air pollution can be divided into two. One is suspended form, another is dissolved form. So most of the things we should understand before going further into the study. What is the pollution? Pollution andre ಏನು? First of all, suppose ಒಂದು ರೂಮ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು we have ಯಾರೋ ಒಬ್ರು, ಸಪೋಸ್ ನೀವೇ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ಮ ವೈಫ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, if they come with some perfume, ನೀವೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಓ, ಯುವರ್ ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮ್ ಇಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಗುಡ್, ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದೇ ಸಪೋಸ್ 5-6 ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅದೇ ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದು ಒಂದೇ ರೂಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೀವೇನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ? ಏನಪ್ಪಾ ನೀವು ಇಷ್ಟು ಇದು ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದ್ರ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಘಾಟ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಗೆ ತಳಿಕ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದೇ ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮೇ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿತ್ತು, 5-6 ಜನ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಯು ಫೆಲ್ಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಗುಡ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಈಸ್ ದಿ ಥಿಂಗ್. Definition of somebody wrote, I can't be hearing, sir. Okay. Somebody wrote not be able to hear. Again, at the end of this thing, again I'll play it. You tell me whether you're able to hear me or not. So now coming to the air pollution, as I told you, a pollution is nothing but if it is pleasant to you, you'll never call it a pollution. If it is not pleasant to you, you call it a pollution. This is the thing. For example, Mananalli, you listen to some music, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಸಮ್ ದೇವ್ರ ಹಾಡು ಹಾಕೊಂತೀರಾ, ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಲೋ ವಾಲ್ಯೂಮ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಯು ರಿಯಲಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ದಟ್. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಅದನ್ನೇ ಗಣೇಶ ಹಬ್ಬದಲ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬೇರೆ ಹಬ್ಬದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಪುಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಆನ್ ಲೌಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಕರ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಯು ಮೇ ಲಿಸನ್ ಫಾರ್ 10 minutes. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇದೇನಪ್ಪ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಗಲಾಟ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಶಬ್ದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಸಿಮಿಲರ್ಲಿ ಎನಿಥಿಂಗ್ ವಿಚ್ ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನಾಟ್ ಬೇರ್ ಫಾರ್ ಲಾಂಗರ್ ಟೈಮ್, ಯು ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಅ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. See, air pollution, there are two types of pollution. One is indoor pollution, another is outdoor air pollution. So indoor air pollution nalli outdoor air pollution ಏನು ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಮನೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಇಂಡೋರ್ ಏರ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಮನೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ, ಸಪೋಸ್ ಒಂದು ಶಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಕಾಂಪ್ಲೆಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಎಲ್ಲ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕನ್ಫೈನ್ಡ್ ಟು ಸಮ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ವೇರ್ ಏರ್ ಇಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಏಬಲ್ ಟು ಮೂವ್ ಫ್ರೀಲಿ. ಸೊ ಸಚ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸಸ್ ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಂಡೋರ್ ಏರ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್. ಔಟ್ಡೋರ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಓಪನ್, ಸೊ ಗಾಳಿ ಸ್ವೇಚ್ಛೆಗಾಗಿ ವೀಸಕ್ಕೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೊಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೂವಿಂಗ್ ಹಿಯರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ದೇರ್. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ ಆಫ್ us should know, and also you know it also, in our olden days or old homes, we used to have air vents in almost all the rooms. ಮನೆ ಮೇಲ್ಗಡೆ ಮೇಲ್ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಓಪನ್ ಇತ್ತು, we used to call it ventilator. ಒಂದು ಈಗಲೂ ಐ ಥಿಂಕ್ ಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಟೌನ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹಳ್ಳಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಳೆ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ವಿಲ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ವೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ವೈ ದಟ್ ವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್? Because the hot air which is produced inside the house should go out of the house. So what you should get is a cool air. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಆ ಅವಶ್ಯಕತೆ ಈಗ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ನಾವು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ಎವರ್ ಎಂಡಿಂಗ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪಾನ್ಷನ್ ಆಫ್ ಅವರ್ ಕ್ರೇಜಿನೆಸ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಬೇಕು ಈಗ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಹೈಟ್ ಅಂತ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಬ್ರಿಟಿಷ್ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಮನೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ 14 feet ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಒಂದು ಮನೆಗೆ ಹೈಟ್. ಸೊ ಅದು 14 feet ನಲ್ಲಿ ಲಾಸ್ಟ್ 1 feet ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾತ್ರ ಇವೆಂಟ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 12 feet ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಹೌಸ್ ಹೈಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಮೋರ್ ದೆನ್ 12 feet. ಈಗ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಅಷ್ಟು ನಾನು 14 feet ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನನಗೆ ದುಡ್ಡು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಖರ್ಚಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಏನ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ, ಹೈಟ್ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇವೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ತೆಗೆದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ. ಸೊ ವಿ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಅಲೋವಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಟ್ ಏರ್ ಟು ಗೋ ಔಟ್. ಸೊ ದೇರ್ ಬೈ the whatever the air inside the house, ನೀವು ನೋಡಿದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಯು ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಸೀನ್ ದಿ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್. ಆ ಪಿಕ್ಚರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದ್ರೆ ಈವನ್ ಉಚ್ಛ್ವಾಸ ನಿಶ್ವಾಸನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರೋ ಗಾಳಿನೂ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಅದನ್ನು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುತ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಪೋಸ್ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು 10 ಜನ ಇದ್ರೆ 10 ಜನದು ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ನಾವೇನಿರ್ತೋ ನಮ್ಮ ಬಾಯಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುತ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಆಚೆ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ವೈ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕೆಪ್ಟ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಆನ್ ದ ಟಾಪ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಜನರಲ್ ಪ್ರಿನ್ಸಿಪಲ್ is hot air goes up, cold air comes down. So this is the principle of air. So because of that it was kept. Hello. So again, air pollution is divided into 4 sources: major sources, area sources, mobile sources, natural sources. Major source ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಹೊಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಅಂದ್ರೆ pollution ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು major solution. It is chemical plants, refineries, ಪೇಪರ್ ಮಿಲ್ಲು, ಮೆಟಲರ್ಜಿಕಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಜಿಂಕ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಯೂಮಿನಿಯಂ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಸ್ಟೀಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಅದರ್ ಆಲ್ ಮೆಟಲರ್ಜಿಕಲ್ ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್. ಸಿಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟ್ಸ್, ಈ ಬೇಸಿಕಲಿ ಈ 5-6 ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರೀಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮೇಜರ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಏರ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ದೆನ್ ಏರಿಯಾ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾ, ಮನೆ ಒಳಗಡೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಲ್ಲ, ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ 4 ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡೋದು. ಅದೇ ಅದು ಅಥವಾ ಆ ಬೌಂಡ್ರೀಸ್ ಚಿಕ್ಕದಿರ್ಬೋದು ದೊಡ್ಡದಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಬಟ್ ದೇ ಶುಡ್ ಹ್ಯಾವ್, ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಕ್ರಿಯೇಟೆಡ್ ವಿತ್ ಇನ್ ಅ ಸ್ಪೆಸಿಫಿಕ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ದೇ ಆರ್ ನಾಟ್ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಇನ್ ಟು ದ ಅಟ್ಮಾಸ್ಫಿಯರ್ ಫ್ರೀಲಿ. ಇಟ್ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ದೇರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕನ್ಫೈನ್ಡ್ ಏರಿಯಾ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಡ್ರೈ ಕ್ಲೀನರ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು, ಪೆಟ್ರೋಲ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು, ಸ್ಮಾಲ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಶಾಪ್ಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರೋಪ್ಲೇಟರ್ಸ್, ಜನರೇಟರ್ ಮೋಟರ್ಸ್, ಹೌಸ್ ಹೋಲ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ಸೆನ್ಸ್, ಅಗರಬತ್ತಿ ನಾವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ವಲ್ಲ, ಒಂದು ಅಗರಬತ್ತಿ ಹಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಕೆಲವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ 10-15 ಹಚ್ಚುತ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೊ ಅದರಿಂದ ಅದೊಂದು ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ರೂಮ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ನರ್ಸ್, ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಈ ರೂಮ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಈ ನಡುವೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ರೂಮ್ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ನರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಸಿಲಿಂಡರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಸಿಲಿಂಡರ್ ಪುಸ್ ಅಂತ ಹಾಕ್ತಿವಿ, ರೂಮ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ಅಂತ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೋಸ್ಕರ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಶ್ವಾಸ ನೋಡಕ್ಕೆ ಅದು ರೂಮ್ ಇದು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಆಹ್ಲಾದಕರವಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಅದು ನಾವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಹಾನಿಕಾರ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳಿದೆ, ಅದರಿಂದ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾನು ಮುಂದೆ ಹೇಳ್ತೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಹೊಗ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅದರಿಂದ ಬರೋ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಷನ್, ಆಟೋಮೊಬೈಲು, ರೈಲ್ವೇಸು, ಏರ್ವೇಸು, ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಎಕ್ವಿಪ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಟ್ರಾಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್, ಆ ತರ ರಿಕ್ರಿಯೇಷನಲ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಇದರಿಂದ ಬರೋದು ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸೋರ್ಸ್. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಅದರಿಂದ ಬರೋ ಹೊಗ. ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಸೋರ್ಸಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಿಂದ ಬರೋದು, ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯಿಂದ ಹಾನಿಕಾರಕ ಆಗೋದು. ಅದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಹೈ ವಿಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್ಸ್, ಹೈ ವಿಂಡ್ ವೆಲಾಸಿಟಿ ಆರ್ ಬ್ಲೋನ್ ಓವರ್ ದ ಎರ್ತ್, ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಧೂಳುಕನೆಲ್ಲ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಅದೊಂದು ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಮ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ದೆನ್ ಕಮ್ಸ್ ವ್ಯಾಲ್ಕನೋಸ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು. ದೆನ್ ಸೀ ಸಾಲ್ಟ್ ಡಿಸ್ಪರ್ಷನ್. If you are staying in Mangalore and Udupi and those places, when there is a wind called seaward, leeward ante eradu wind pattern. Seaward andre ನಮ್ಮ ಭೂಮಿಯಿಂದ ಸಮುದ್ರಕ್ಕೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು seaward ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೀಯಿಂದ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸಿದ್ರೆ ವಿಂಡ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ರಾತ್ರಿ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಮುದ್ರದಿಂದ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ಗಾಳಿ ಬೀಸುತ್ತೆ, ದಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಿ ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ, ವಿಂಡ್ ವರ್ಡ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಿಯಿಂದ ಮನೆಗೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಭೂಮಿಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸಪೋಸ್ ವಿ ಆರ್ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟಿಂಗ್ ದಿ sea coast with a lot of all the areas who are residing in sea coast. We are polluting with our sea, with our all the waste which are creating from a household, factories and other places. It is going and reaching and mixing with the sea. So night when the windward is there, that time these pollutants they form certain sort of chemicals, maybe it's gases or particulates. They are also thrown into the land. That's why sea salt dispersion. Then forest fires, ಆಮೇಲೆ municipal waste burning. ಈ ನಡುವೆ ಏನಾಯ್ತು, municipal state burning ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಯ್ತು, because we are collecting municipal state properly, municipal waste properly, and disposing it off properly because of the efforts taken by the state governments and center. So now let us have some definitions. Now I have told you the air pollution comprises of dust particles and gas particles. So ಈ combination ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋಣ. Smoke ಅಂದ್ರೆ only air particles which are thrown out in the atmosphere. Okay, that's called smoke. Smoke ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ, smoke ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು ಗಾಳಿ, ಐ ಮೀನ್ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಪೋಲನ್ ಗ್ರೇನ್ಸ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಆಮೇಲೆ some of the ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾನು ಇರುತ್ತೆ. Apart from that, some gases are also, which are not gases, are not in big way. Very few means, for example, some area has hydrogen sulfide is emitted from certain drainage, so that gas also mixes with the smoke. So this we call it as smoke. Smoke is smoke ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಧೂಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಧೂಳು ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಭೂಮಿಯಿಂದ ಬರೋದು, ಮೇಲೆ ವ್ಯಾಪ್ತಿ ಆಗೋದು ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿ ವಿಂಡ್ ಸ್ಪೀಡ್, we call it ಧೂಳು ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು. ಸೊ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ it will be only particulates but not gases. Very few gases will be there where it is emitted continuously, non-point source ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡ್ರೈನೇಜ್ ಇಂದ ಅದರಿಂದ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. This is the one thing we should remember. This is a smoke. Then other one is smog. ಈ ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ಕ್ಕೂ ಸ್ಮಾಗ್ ಕ್ಕೂ ಡಿಫರೆನ್ಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ಸ್, ಸ್ಮಾಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಮಿಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ಎರಡು ಸೇರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ಇಟ್ ಬಿಕಮ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಫಾಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ವಾಟರ್ ಡ್ರಾಪ್ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಈ ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಧೂಳು ಪದಾರ್ಥದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಸ್ಮಾಗ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಎರಡು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ಚರ್ ಆಫ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಸ್ಮೋಕ್, ಧೂಳಿ ಕಣಗಳು ಪ್ಲಸ್ ವಾಟರ್ ವೇಪರ್ ಎರಡು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ಸ್ಮಾಗ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. What is the difficulty in the smog? When you take this smog, when you breathe the smog inside your lungs, you're also taking gases as well as the particles. So adrinda how it is going to harm our health anadu munde nanu I will discuss with you. So this smog also forms a small blanket like structure in the atmosphere. So what happens, because of slight blanket like thing, your light do not penetrate into this, so the visibility ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಕಾಣೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. You cannot see freely. So when you are driving at speed in motor vehicles, scooters or cars or train, if you are not able to see properly, there are chances that you may meet with an accident. ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಮುಂದೆ. So then comes the dust. So one is smoke. Smoke is again particulates with the liquid. Dust is nothing but it's only particles. There is no gas at all. Only particles. Dhulu. So this is basically consists of dhulu and then some amount of pollens and fibrous material and pollen material. So basically it is a mixture of only dust, which does not have any water vapor or it does not have any moisture, nothing, no water, nothing will be there. It's called dust. So then fog, already I told you, I have explained you what is fog. Fog is nothing but aerosol, means fine spray, very fine spray. ನೀವು ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಸ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಹೋಗುವಾಗ ನೀವು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು, ಕಾರ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಸ್ಕೂಟರ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಫೈನ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ aerosol. So that aerosol droplets of water. So sometimes it is droplet of ice also. So both are called fog. So I'll just show you the figures. See, this is the smoke which contains water plus particulates. This is smoke. So this is smog. This is smoke and this fog. ಈ ಎರಡು ಮಿಕ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ fog ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. So because of fog, visibility ನೋಡಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿದೆ. You are not able to see. So accidents happen. Commercially, you will have a lot of problem. Plus, not only commercial, but since it has got gases also mixed in this, you will have problem of breathing. People who are vulnerable people, ಅಂದ್ರೆ TB, asthma, or old age people, and young children, they are all getting affected. Now you'll ask me a question. You are always telling that vulnerable people, you are adding the new because children, they breathe almost 2 times what the general adult breathes. ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಅಂದಾಜಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇವೆ, ಒಂದ್ ನಿಮಿಷಕ್ಕೆ 10 ಸಾರಿ ನಾವು ಉಚ್ಛ್ವಾಸ ನಿಶ್ವಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಹುಡುಗರು 20 ಸಾರಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವ್. ಸೊ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಗಾಳಿ ಉಸಿರು ತಗೋವಾಗ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಈ ಗಾಳಿ ಹಾನಿಕಾರಕ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು it will go inside our lungs and then it spoil our health system. That's why we always say children and adults anta ibbarnu ಸೇರಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. Because adults ಗೆ ಏಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಲಂಗ್ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಏಜ್ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಪ್ಲಸ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟಿಬಿ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಅಂತ ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ವೇರಾಸ್ ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್ ಗೆ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಾಯಿಲೆ ಇರಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ಅವರು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಗಾಳಿ ಶಾತ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆಲ್ಮೋಸ್ಟ್ 2 times they are adult. So ಧೂಳು ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ಯಾಸಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, they try to get bound to lungs and lung structure ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದೆ. ಇನ್ ಮುಂದೆ ಸ್ಲೈಡ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ I'll show you what is lung structure. So there they go and get assimilated. Sometimes they go to the blood, and in a long run it affects them. That means become old by 60, they'll become old by 50 years itself. Under 10 years their age, so that we should remember. Today they may be younger, they are very active playing, but by the time they reach 50 years, they'll look like they're 60 years. So this is one thing which we should keep in mind. So when there is a lot of dust pollution is there, don't send your children outside. So now I told you I'll going to explain about the structure of lung. So lung nali now we take 2 types of breathing. One is nasal breathing, another is oral breathing. So now usuru ಎರಡು ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ, ಬಾಯಿಂದ ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮೂಕಿಂದ ತಗೊಂತೀವಿ. ಈ ಎರಡು ಇಂದ ನಾವು ಶ್ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಸೊ ಈ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ದ ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಸ್ಮೋಕ್ ಆಗಲಿ ಅಥವಾ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಗಲಿ, everything will have to pass through these 2 cavities. Third one is that the third one, it is the charma, that is the skin. Through skin also we absorb something. We don't breathe, but we absorb. So what is finally when you breathe also, what is the ultimate thing what is happening is absorption. That we should remember. Idan charma absorb ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾಕೆ ನೀವು adding to the pollution to the lungs andre, even whatever the air goes inside the lungs, finally it is the absorption process by which the lungs absorb the oxygen and give out carbon dioxide and moisture. So finally what is happening, it is the basically absorption technique, absorption criteria. Okay, idu the nasal cavity and oral cavity, everything they both join at one place called pharynx. Pharynx, otherwise we call it trachea. Pharynx to trachea ಏನು difference ಅಂದ್ರೆ, pharynx ನಲ್ಲಿ there is one wall will be there. That wall will allow air only to go to lungs. Any ನಾವು ಊಟ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ನಾವು ಬಾಯಿಯಿಂದ ಹೋಗೋ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳೆಲ್ಲ, it will not allow to go to trachea, but will allow it to go to the stomach, so that we can eat and we can digest and get the nutrients. So that is the function of the pharynx in throat. Whereas from the pharynx, when the air reaches, the one windpipe is called trachea. The trachea is an inverted T. So in the trachea, you have a lot of mucus cells. So you will know the light white color nodidira, these are all mucus cells. What is the role of these mucus cells andre? Suppose by mistake any particles reach the mucus, so this trachea, these mucus particles, they absorb these particles and throw them back into the stomach through pharynx. They absorb the particles and throw it back into the stomach, so that whatever the air reaches, it is without any particulates. Of course, what it cannot do is it cannot absorb the gases. So that's why we should be very careful. Number 1. Number 2, these mucus cannot absorb particles, dhuli kanagalu, which is less than 10 and 2.5. Ati ಸೂಕ್ಷ್ಮವಾದ ಧೂಳಿ ಕಣಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ 2.5 ಮೈಕ್ರಾನ್ ಆಗಲಿ 10 ಮೈಕ್ರಾನ್ ಆಗಲಿ, ಅಷ್ಟು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರೋ ಧೂಳಿ ಕಣಗಳನ್ನು ಇದು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಫಿಷಿಯಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಮಾಡತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಒಂದು 100 grams ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಓನ್ಲಿ 1 gram ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಿಕ್ಕ 99 grams it will go into the lungs. So that is the efficiency is very, very less for this mucus to absorb the low density particles. Okay, these particles, when they reach the trachea is divided into 2 branches. Lung has having 2 lobes. What we call it 2 lobes. 2 lobes we have. Lungs have 2 lobes, left 2 and right 1. Ee lobes olagade we have got the trachea again further branches into branchioles. Now branches anta teak anta heltivi, gidakalla branches anta heltivi. Same way in the inside lung also, this trachea is divided into lot of branches or branchioli. Ee branchiole konenalli last nalli you have one particular system called alveoli. It's nothing but small water bubble like things. Alveoli, small water bubble like structures. Ee alveoli nalle when the blood particles, that is veins, are when the veins are surrounding this alveoli, exchange of gases take place. Exchange of gases andre the bad blood is containing of carbon dioxide, which is surrounding this alveoli. They give out the carbon dioxide to the air sacs, which is surrounded the alveoli duct, then absorb the oxygen. They give out the carbon dioxide and moisture and take the only oxygen inside the bloodstream. So this is the system which is very finely created by God. So this is such a beautiful creation. How it happens, again, this is a separate chemistry for itself. So again, I'm not going in detail, but only we should know that here the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen takes place, and the pure oxygen goes into the small bloodstream and then go to the different parts of the body, so that we are keeping ourselves healthy because of we get good amount of oxygen. So here I want to tell you something. I told you that we have oxygen around 16 to 20% varying. Suppose you are on the hill stations, oxygen levels are less, but you are in the seashore, oxygen is around 20 to 21%. So of this 20%, amount of oxygen absorbed by the blood is only. So what is happening out of this so much of only 20% oxygen, 50% only we are absorbing. Another 50% we are giving it back. We are not absorbing anything. That means again, if I go back to the chemistry, it is called exchange capacity of the oxygen molecule and carbon dioxide molecule and health. That's called exchange capacity. Again, as a separate subject too. I'm just telling you, just note down this. ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಇರೋದೇ 20% oxygen out of the 100% of air. Let us assume you have got 1 liter of air. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರೋದು only 20 liters is only oxygen. Out of 20, only 10 liters oxygen only it is absorbing. So only 50% absorbing. Imagine that 20% also is polluted with the pollutants. I'll come to the next. What are the pollutants? Everything we'll discuss in nature. If everything is polluted like that, oxygen ಶಾತ ಅಂದ್ರೆ 20%, 16% ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ 10% ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಹೆಲ್ತ್ ಇರೋದು, ಇನ್ನು ಅದಕ್ಕಂದ್ರೆ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿಬಿಟ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ? ಸೊ ಇಮ್ಯಾಜಿನ್. ಸೊ ದಟ್ಸ್ ವೈ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. And moreover, when you have, you know that pollution alerts are there. Why they are asking you to wear mask? You should have even coronavirus bidi. Even air ನಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಅನ್ನ ಧೂಳಿ ಕಣಗಳಿದೆ. ಧೂಳಿ ಕಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿದೆ? ಕೊರೋನಾನು ಇದೆ. As a pollen grains ಇದೆ, ಕೊರೋನಾನು ಇದೆ. So when corona, all this type of things are coming, they are interfering and with the bloodstream and you are causing the problem. So to make you understand this alveoli, which is around 8 microns and less. 8 microns ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. 8, what is a micron? 1 millimeter ತಗೊಂಡು ಅದನ್ನು 1,00,000 ಸಾರಿ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದೊಂದು ಕಣಕ್ಕೆ 1 ಮೈಕ್ರಾನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. 10 to the power of 6 of a millimeter is called 1 micron. So ಈ ಮೈಕ್ರಾನ್ ನಮ್ದು if you take one ಕೂದಲು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀರಾ, one hair if you take and you cut that hair, it is a diameter of hair which is around 70 microns. the dia of the hair is 70 microns. ಕೂದಲು ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಡಯಾ ಬಂದು 70 microns. 70 micron ಒಳಗೆ ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟಿದೆ, ಒಂದು PM10 particle size ನೋಡಿ. Out of the 70 micron of the hair dia, but PM particulate matter 10 ಎಷ್ಟು ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬಹುದು. Almost 7 particles can occupy this. PM 2.5 ಅಂದ್ರೆ it could occupy more than 4 times. Andre 50 particles can occupy this area of 70 microns of hair. So they're so small. So when they're so small, these things, PM10 ಬಂದು ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, it will come and it will not go to the alveoli, but it will come and settle down in alveolar duct. What we call it branchiole ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. Branchiole ಬಂದು ಬ್ರಾಂಕಿಯೋಲೆ ಕಡಾಪಟ್ಟಿ ಇರೋದು ಬ್ರಾಂಕಿಯೋಲೆ ಡಕ್ಟ್ ಅಂತೀವಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಅದು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ. ಇಟ್ ಗೆಟ್ ಸ್ಟಕ್. ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಫ್ರೀ ಪ್ಯಾಸೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಏರ್ ಇರಲ್ಲ. ವೆನ್ ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ನೋ ಫ್ರೀ ಪ್ಯಾಸೇಜ್ ಆಫ್ ಏರ್, ದೇರ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಚಾನ್ಸ್ ದಟ್ ದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಆಕ್ಸಿಜನ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ಗೋಯಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಟೇಕ್ ಇನ್ಸೈಡ್ ಲಂಗ್ಸ್ ಇಸ್ ಆಲ್ರೆಡಿ 20% ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು. ಇಲ್ಲೇ ಇದು ಫಿಲ್ಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಸೆಂಡಿಂಗ್ 10%. ಈ 10% ಮತ್ತೆ 10% ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಸೊ ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ದ ರೆನ್ ವಿ ಶುಡ್ ಬಿ ವೆರಿ ವೆರಿ ಕೇರ್ಫುಲ್. Then PM 2.5 is so small, it will pass through this alveoli. The exchange of gas and alveoli, the PM 2.5 will pass through this and reaches the blood. When it reaches the blood, it becomes part of the blood. Blood is nothing but connective tissue. So this also becomes one of the part of the connective tissue. When this becomes part of the connective tissue, what happens? The kanagalali, it is not just dulu. It is being surrounded by some other small, very small micron, I mean 1 micron, 0.5 micron. Some of the gaseous particles also get attached to this, and this will also go to the blood. So when it reaches the blood, it reaches the bone marrow, it reaches the liver, it reaches the intestine. So when it reaches all these places, what it does is it will not allow free exchange of nutrients in our blood in the intestine, number 1. Number 2, when the liver stores the glucose, the storage of glucose process is disturbed by this PM 2.5. Similarly, we have so many other, it will also go and sit in your brain cells and disturb your thinking process itself. So that way we should be very careful with PM 2.5. So PM 2.5 ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಮುಂದೆ ನಾವು ಮುಂದುವರಿಸ್ತಾ ನೋಡೋಣ. So now I have shown you PM 2.5 ನೋಡಿ. What is earlier PM 2.5 is coming from the residential burning. ಅವಾಗ ಮನೆ ಹಳೆ ಮನೆಗಳು ಏನು ನಾರ್ತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ ಸೀಮ್ಸ್ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಟ್ ನಾರ್ತ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಚೂಲಾನಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಗ ಚೂಲ ಕಮ್ಮಿ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದಾರೆ. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟೇಷನ್ has increased. So from the transportation exhaust gases, the PM 2.5 is increasing. This is the culprit is transportation exhaust gases are the culprit. Of course, some things come from paper industries, so aluminum industries, so industries in ಬರುತ್ತೆ, but adhika ಶಾತ ಬರೋದು more than now it is 40-50%, 60-70% ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಪೋರ್ಟೇಷನ್ ಇಂದನೇ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದು ಮೂವ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ಸ್, ಟ್ರೈನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಬಸ್ಸು, ಏರೋಪ್ಲೇನ್, ಇದರಿಂದ ಬರೋದೇ ಧೂಳಿಕಣಗಳೇ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ. ಸೊ ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜೋಪಾನವಾಗಿ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಈ ಧೂಳಿಗಳೇ we have been these pollutants we have divided into 2. One is primary pollutant, another is secondary pollutant. Primary pollutants ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈಗ ವೆಹಿಕಲ್ ಇಂದ ಬರುತ್ತೆ, ಎಕ್ಸಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ. ನಾವು ಎಕ್ಸಾಸ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಬರೋ ಹಾನಿಕಾರಕ ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು ಅದು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿ ಚಿಮ್ನಿಂದ ಬರೋದು ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನೇನು ಬರುತ್ತೆ ನೋಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರ್ಬನ್ ಡೈಆಕ್ಸೈಡ್ ಇದೆ, ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ SO2 ಇದೆ, ನಾಕ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಪಾರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲೇಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾಟ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ದಟ್ಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್. ಇದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. ಸೆಕೆಂಡರಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ದೀಸ್ ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಪೊಲ್ಯೂಟೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ವೆನ್ ದೇ ಆರ್ ಸಸ್ಪೆಂಡೆಡ್ ಆರ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಏರ್, ದಿ ರಿಯಾಕ್ಷನ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ದಿ ಸನ್ ರೇಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯು ಗಾಟ್ 7 wavelengths, ವಿಬ್ಜಯಾರ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಈಚ್ ವೇವ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ 1 wavelength. So these wavelengths, they react with these primary pollutants, they create secondary pollutants. Sometimes ultraviolet radiations also, they attach to this and they make a reaction to the primary pollutants, causing secondary pollutants. What is primary pollutant, second pollutants? Now pictures like see what is coming from motor vehicle, volcanoes, forest fires, from industry, they are all primary pollutions. ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಕಾಣಬಹುದು ಅಂಡ್ ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. CO2, NO2 ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಾವು ಪರಿಶೀಲನೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಇದಕ್ಕೆಲ್ಲ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು, ನೋಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು. But other one is what we cannot see, what is formed is a secondary pollutant. What is forming is when you have CO, nitrous oxide, nitric acid, carbon, ಈ ಹಸುಗಳಿಂದ ಬರೋ ಮೀಥೇನು ಇದೆಲ್ಲಾನು ಸೇರಿ secondary pollution, like what you form is acids, nitric acid, sulfuric acid, ozone, peroxide. There are different compounds will be formed. This requires a very sophisticated instruments to know how much are present, at what level it is present.
ಅವ್ರು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದು ಸಬ್ಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಏನೇ ಸರ್, ಅದು 8th to 10th ಸೈನ್ಸ್ ಏನಿದೆ ಸರ್ ಅದೇನೇನೆ.
ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಮಾತಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಆಯ್ತು, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು half an hour ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಇದು secondary pollution. Secondary pollution is formed from the primary pollutants due to the atmospheric interferences like sunlight and other gases, methane and also ultraviolet rays. The secondary pollutants are produced. So these secondary pollutants are producing are acids, as we know that in the picture also we have seen in the video that it forms acid rains. The acid rains more, what forms is it increases the pH, decreases the pH of the water body. When it decreases the pH of water body, it affects the fish population. And also when it falls on the birds' feathers are burnt, so the feather density of the bird is reduced, so the bird is not able to fly for a long distance. Third one is some of the trees which are not able to take this pH, they will die. So then you ask me one question, those are in fisheries department, they know it. If you want to produce more of males, what you should do, you will increase the pH. If you want more of the females, you will decrease the pH of the water body. So by alteration of the pH, either you increase the female population of the fish or male population of the fish. Santulana hogbidutte. Either one will be more, one will be less. So this is one of the reason of the acid rain also on our atmosphere. Now this is how in general I have shown you what are the secondary pollutants and primary pollutants. So how the primary pollutants, which are more and from where it is coming. Which are more primary pollutants? ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರೋದು carbon monoxide, followed by nitrous oxides, sulfur dioxide, then volatile organic compounds and particulates. Particulates ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಧೂಳು ಕಣಗಳು. I told you PM 2.5, PM 10 ಆಗಿರಿ ಧೂಳು ಕಣಗಳೇ ಅಲ್ಲ, even pollen ಆಗಿರಿ ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ಟೀರಿಯಾ ಆಗಿರಿ, all even micron, what you call omicron or all together not more than 6%. Any bacteria also, okay, virus, everything is less than around 6%. But if you see carbon monoxide is very high because it is coming from the transportation. If you see the next pictures here, yellow color. So it is transportation. From transportation only you get a lot of carbon monoxide, and also you get nitrous oxide and volatile organics are all these are coming from industrial process, fuel combustion. Hello, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. So you get it from solid waste disposal. Solid waste disposal ತುಂಬಾ ಕಡಿಮೆ ಇದೆ, but after the government has taken the measures, this is from 2.5, it is almost reduced to 0.5% only, because government is collecting at source and segregating at source and disposing at source. So adrinda the pollution coming from solid waste has been reduced, but whereas industrial process, stationary fuel combustions, it is more, and they are producing lot of volatile organic compounds, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide. You know that nitrogen oxide and carbon monoxide are coming from mostly from motor vehicles. Sulfur dioxide does not come from motor vehicles, but from other industrial sources. These volatile organics are coming from industries and also from household. ನಾವು ಮನೆಗಳಿಂದ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಪದಾರ್ಥಗಳು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪೆಸ್ಟಿಸೈಡ್ಸ್, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ವಿಲೇಜ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಪೆಸ್ಟಿಸೈಡ್ಸ್, ಅಥವಾ ನಾವು ವಾಲಟೈಲ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಪರ್ಫ್ಯೂಮ್ಸ್, ಈ praise, creams, use ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ. All these things, they create volatile organics, including pesticides. So it is coming from the known sources only. Sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide coming, the volatile organisms coming from non-known sources. But wherever sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, they come from known sources, and the automobiles or industries, from that it is coming. So let us see that sources and classification. Natural sources, man-made or anthropogenic. Natural andre pollen grains, so volcanic eruptions, so forest fires, so dust storms, so spores, so bacteria. These are natural. Man-made and the industrial units, so thermal power plants, so automobile exhaust, fossil fuels, burning, mining. So these are all man-made. So if you see here, the man-made is giving more pollution compared to the natural. Natural is the particulates are some miscellaneous. But if you see, all other things are coming from the man-made. So from that man-made pollutants, so it has been divided into Government of India, Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has identified 6 pollutants as criteria pollutants. So why they are created as criteria pollutants? Because they are we know the source. Criteria pollutants, we know the source, and we know we can control the source. So when we know the source, we also know how to measure it. See, I told you earlier, the secondary pollutants are difficult to measure because they require a lot of sophisticated instruments. Whereas these primary pollutants does not require that many sophisticated instruments, but still we can measure. So the PM particulate matter we can measure on a filter paper. SO2 NOx, there are some observations are there, easily we can do it. Ozone also, we can just observe and do it. Lead again, we can put it in filter paper and find out. Carbon monoxide, there's one instrument called carbon monoxide. So it is easy to quantify. Okay, easy to quantify, and there are instruments available. And why this criteria pollutant? Because these criteria pollutants, they mix with secondary pollutants like ozone, H2O2, nitric acid. So they form a lot of health hazard to the public. So that is the reason Government of India identified criteria pollutants to control these pollutants, so that the secondary pollutants, effect of secondary pollution, interaction between primary pollutants, criteria pollutants and secondary pollutants will not take place much. Thereby, you are restoring the health of the humans and also the animals as such. So now I have been talking to you like PM. I told you like PM has particulate matter has PM10, PM2.5, PM10 again affecting the flow of air in the lungs, and PM2.5 will enter the bloodstream and affects the bloodstream constituency, and then it affects the various organs also. Then SO2 NOx, they are the precursors for secondary pollutants which form the acid rains. Also they form peroxide, ozone, other things. Ozone again will destroy the layer, and thereby ultraviolet rays are coming in, reaching the air, which causes lot of skin cancer, etc. So this is also very important. Earlier lead was used in petrol as anti-knock agent, which was used to otherwise motor vehicles, if lead is not added as anti-knock, tetraethyl lead only is added. If it is not added, the piston gets heated up and then it breaks. So motor vehicle will not run for long distances, it will not move for long, it will not give long life. So to maintain that, tetraethyl lead was added. Now lead is removed and replaced with benzene. Benzene is again nothing but volatile organic compound. What we did is we have removed one pollutant, but we have added other pollutants which are much more dangerous than the lead itself. Like we have added now, we have benzene we have added. Now slowly we are going for ethanol and other blendings. So which again we do not know what will happen. Ethanol blending with petrol, or what happens. What we call, as I told you, secondary pollutant forms. So what type of secondary pollutant forms, we have to find out and study it. In carbon monoxide, carbon monoxide is very, very hungry for oxygen. It is very, very hungry. The moment it comes in contact with oxygen, it absorbs the oxygen, it becomes carbon dioxide. So amount of carbon oxygen, which is, I told you, which is varying from 16 to 20%, it will become only 10 to instead of 16, it will become 10%, instead of 20%, it will become 10%. So the amount of oxygen also reduces. When amount of oxygen reduces, the lung capacity of exchange, I told you, 50% the lung absorbs. Out of the 50%, only another 50% will be going into the blood, thereby harming the entire blood, the healthiness of the blood constituency. Blood constituency that hemoglobin content will be affected. Hemoglobin will absorb less of oxygen. So the exchange of carbon dioxide and oxygen is also affected. So when it comes to volatile, I told you some of the instead of lead, now benzene is added to the petrol as anti-knock agent. So what happens when benzene is used or smelled longer time? Nowadays, you also know that in some of the perfumes, some of the skin creams also, they are using benzene. This benzene is a very dangerous carcinogenic. So 80% of the benzene is absorbed through the skin absorption. I told you, skin absorption means whether it is lung or skin, everything is absorption only. So through this absorption, benzene goes to the bloodstream, and thereby it goes and sits in bone marrow. Bone marrow does not produce healthy hemoglobins. When healthy hemoglobins are not produced, it causes to cancer. It causes a malfunctioning of the cell, what we call it cancer. So generally it is observed, the World Health Organizations have taken various countries, they have studied this benzene on the workers who have been working 8 hours in a particular area. So they have sprayed this benzene varying from 10 to 100 ppm, and they have taken the study that when 10 ppm is sprayed on the workers, what are the symptoms they are showing, what type of disease they are showing for 8 hours. 100 ppm is sprayed, what type of disease they are showing. So these things, finally they found that when the workers are exposed for 8 hours, ranging from 10 to 100 ppm, everybody, most of them, say when you say 80% of them are getting leukemia, blood cancer, and neoplasia. So this is a very dangerous thing, benzene. So now Government of India has banned benzene, excepting using in a petrol as anti-knock. That also now they have reduced. Now they are going for various other sources. So till that time, the benzene is used, but it has the use has been reduced now because more modern technology in the automobile has come. So they don't require this anti-knock agents. Now machines have been made in such a way that they can be without even adding the additives. We call them additives. Even without this also, the machine can work. So that type of machines have been developed and it is coming. So this is reducing, but however, we are using in household. So we have to be very, very careful. Then comes carbon tetrachloride. Carbon tetrachloride is also used in most of our household items, especially your switches. All electrical switches, they have carbon tetrachloride. As a preservative, also using carbon tetrachloride. So these carbon tetrachlorides, of course, on human beings have not shown any cancerous causing problems. However, in animals, these carbon tetrachloride have shown a lot of cancer generating properties. But this carbon tetrachloride usage is slowly increasing, and it is used in paints, varnishes, and everything. So because it's easy to adapt, and carbon tetrachloride gives a very good smell. So people want a good smell, so they are using this. So, and the Government of India is again planning to ban this carbon tetrachloride also. So let us, they have to go for next alternatives also. Then third volatile organic compound is chloroform. Chloroform, all of us know, is used to make one person unconscious. Generally, you see in movies also, they make the villain or a hero, they make it unconscious. So immediately the chloroform affects the central nervous system. It makes the person unconscious immediately. So it's very, very dangerous, and it is inhaled in for longer duration. It causes brain dead. What we call, it immediately causes a brain dead. So that's why in the atmosphere, measurement of chloroform is also very, very important. Though in India, the chloroform usage, excepting for medical uses, is very, very less. Maybe in some countries, chloroform is used in various other processes, but slowly this usage also has come down. So another important gas is, another one is VOC, gas pollutants. The another one is, second one is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PA, we call it PAH. But actually PAH in India are not much. Generally PAH compounds are used in transformer oils, transformers. Nowadays they are using in some of the nail polish and lipsticks, and some of the grease also has a PAH. So this PAH usage is generally less in India, but however the usage has been increasing in the household items, and also of the PAH, one particular PAH called benzoapyrene is very carcinogenic. It is limited when coal is burnt in open air. When coal is burnt in open air, the PAH are produced. So generally, that's why the household people in North India, they are telling a lot of cancerous people who are having burning chula, they are affected of cancer. That is because one of the reason is the PAH, which they are inhaling more because of the coal burning. If you burn the wood, you may not get PAH, but if you burn the coal, you get the PAH. So that is the difference. People who are using the wood, they may not be exposed to that much of PAH, but people who are using the coal, they are exposed to PAH. Then comes dioxins. Dioxins are nothing but two benzene rings attached to two oxygens. This is very, very highly unstable compound, and this is a new type of volatile compound. It is formed when plastic, that is polycyclic polyurethane foam or polyvinyl, these type of plastics are burnt openly at low temperatures below 400 degrees. These plastics, when they burnt, they form dioxins. These of the dioxins, 2378 TCDD, this is the one that is called positional, 2 position, 3 position, 7 position, 8 position. There is a chlorine atom attached to the dioxins. So it's called 2378 TCDD. It is highly carcinogenic. It is when polyvinyl plastics are burnt, a 2378 TCDD is formed, and a person is exposed even for a short period. For example, even for about 30 minutes, there are 3-4 things. He will choke and hello, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು mute ಮಾಡಿಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. Hello, 2378 TCDD, I have been telling you, it is formed when polyvinyl plastics are burnt. So at low temperatures, they form dioxins. They are very dangerous. Even for 10-15 minutes, if you are exposed to that fumes, your throat gets choked and you will have heavy breathing problem. You have to get admitted in the hospital. If it is you are burning, you are exposed for more than 3 hours, you are bound to get lung cancers. So this one, so you have to be careful with these dioxins, especially when you are burning plastics. So that's why the government of India is putting a lot of restrictions on throwing the plastics. There are two problems. One is it also chokes the drains. So the drain flow system is affected. Number one, that is a major one. The other one is when it is burnt, it releases dioxins in the atmosphere. And this atmosphere, once the dioxins are released, they stay in the atmosphere very long time, even for 15-20 years. So it will be affecting the people unknowingly. So you may be burning your plastic in your house, but whereas a person sitting in Hassan or sitting in Mysore, he will be affected because of these dioxins which are produced at your area. Whereas he will be affected after 4-5 years when this air reaches that particular area. So we do not know. So because as the air travels, it carries these dioxins, whatever the dust particles, whatever it is, as it goes, it is carrying, it is increasing, it is magnifying itself. So when it reaches the other places, people who are very having weak health, when they're exposed, immediately they are affected. So that's why we should be very careful. The other one is, all of us know, all of you are from the towns and also from villages, pesticides. Pesticides are something which are very, very dangerous. and WHO has identified dirty dozens pesticides which are chlorinated pesticides. They are called dirty dozens. It has been identified by WHO, and among that, now recently they added endosulfan. Endosulfan is again not an organic chloropesticide; it's organophosphorus pesticide. However, this is also added because it has got lot of health effects, and we have all seen this 4 or 5 years back in our in India, in places like Kerala and Kasaragod and other places. People have birth defects have been identified, and lot of government has took lot of efforts to rectify them. So now government has banned this endosulfan also. So all these dirty dozens are very, very carcinogenic, are highly health destructive pollutants. So it has been banned manufacturing of all this. The deadliest is a DDT, dichlorodiethylene tetrachlorine. DDT is the highly carcinogenic, and it's called universal pesticide. If pesticide means not just only killing the pest. We have got sites, and we call it sites, and rodenticide, weedicide. All these things are sites, and they're all pesticides. A group called pesticides. So they all have DDT also effects on pesticides. DDT also affects on rodenticides and also some of the weeds also. So that's why DDT is called a universal pesticide. So at the same time, the half-life period means to reduce DDT to almost harmless, it will take more than 100 years. So that's the reason DDT is very, very harmful. Government of India, though of course its uses are very, very good. For example, when plague has happened in Surat, DDT was sprayed, and immediately the rats were killed, and even the plague virus is also immediately taken care of. Some of the viruses and bacteria which was carrying this are also immediately taken care, and that was contained. So it is one way it is good, but it should not be given to the public. That's why the government of India is not allowing any private companies to manufacture DDT. Government only manufactures this, and government only uses this. So you have to be very, very careful with this DDT, especially with pesticides. So another thing is, you know that pesticides, volatile organic compounds, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, dioxins, they all form a lot of health effects. Major is that it is going to harm our especially skin, lung, and other places, especially what you call hormones. Hormonal imbalances create. Hormones are those, what do you call a definition of hormone? Are some chemicals which are produced in a minute quantity at one place, act at a farther place, another place. So that is very the definition of the hormone. So they are produced very small amount, but they act at different places for different purposes. So for example, people who are exposed to these things, nowadays you come across people with a lot of thyroid problems. They have a problem like people say we have thyroid problem, then vitamin D deficiency, then pregnancy, PCOD problems and everything. Is all because of these. People are exposed to the fumes of this, not because of particulates. Remember this, it's only because of the fumes we are exposed to. Various type of fumes, from whether it's PAH, PCBs, reactions, whatever it is, different compounds of these things we are exposed. And slowly and slowly, it is not happening over a period of time. They go, and all these organic vapors, they go and settle either in the lungs, either at the liver, or in the muscles, or in the tissues. So in tissues and liver, and also other processes, wherever there is a muscle is there, they slowly and slowly they get accumulated there. And after accumulation, once the threshold limit increases, they start releasing into the body. So that's when we feel that we are getting all these disorders. So that's why we have to be very, very careful. So another one we are facing nowadays everywhere, all over India. India is called the diabetic capital of the world. So those farmers, villagers who are not known having diabetes for about 10 years back, Now all farmers all over India, everybody is getting diabetic. Even children also becoming diabetic because the farmers are spraying excess amount of pesticides, which is not required, which is not mandated by the company or mandated by the government. Generally, pests are sprayed as per the directions of the industry, pesticide manufacturers, but actually the farmers use in excess of that. Whatever is used in excess is not absorbed by the plants or the rodents or weeds, and they are giving out in a different form. When these cows or the herbivores, when they graze on this, these pests or pesticides, they get inside their digestion system, and it goes into the muscles and also into the liver. In turn, we public, what happens? We kill the animals and eat their flesh. When they eat their flesh, we are also taking whatever they have stored, the pesticides. Okay, the pesticides agli athwa organochloride, I mean DDT, sorry, VOCs agli or pH agli, whatever the animals have ingested, which is sitting in their liver and muscles and everywhere, that is what we are eating. With so much fun and fun we are eating, but we are unknowingly that we are also taking that concentration, what we call it biomagnification. So when the biomagnification is happening, we are taking more and more pesticides, VOCs and other things. Because of that, we are getting a lot of hormonal problems. So nowadays, all hormonal problems is because one is by inhaling, another is by ingestion, means eating. One is by eating, another is by inhaling. Both ways we are allowing the pesticides, volatile organic compounds, pH, dioxins, on particular some of these, some of the muscles which are having less pH, that also we are taking. So thereby increasing the acidity of our stomach. So some of the other causes of dioxins, which is there is the dioxins. It affects the central nervous system, reproductive system, kidneys and bones, and thyroid glands also it affects. Okay, then coming to the, now that you know what are all the health effects we are being facing with the particulate matters, with the secondary pollutants, and also with the gaseous matter. So I told you PM1, PM10, PM2 passes through this and affecting this one. This regarding the PM with gases, secondary pollutants, gases, what happens also we have discussed. Now comes, which are all the sources. Sources for carbon monoxide is again transportation and nitrous oxide. These two are the sources of nitrous oxide and carbon monoxide. What happens this? They absorb the oxygen from the atmosphere, thereby reducing the content of the oxygen in the atmosphere, thereby reducing the oxygen percentage in overall and affecting the lung capacity to exchange the oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange. Then SO2 is not basically, it is produced in the automobile pollution, but all other sources, but is the precursor for acid rains. That we should know is. Okay, then comes, let me go, which are the most polluted cities in the world? So WHO has identified 30 most polluted cities in the world. Out of 30, 22 are in India itself, and all the 20 are situated along the Himalayas. So that is because in Himalayas, what happens, I told you in the earlier lecture itself, that the hot air goes up, cold air comes down. So in Himalaya, the temperature, especially in these months, October, November, December, temperature as such is very cold. So the hot air, which is supposed to go up, does not go up. By the time hot air goes up, cold air also comes in. There's a mixture of hot air and cold air. The air is not dissipated properly. So before it is getting dissipated, the cold air sets in very fast. So it pulls down the hot air also, because it pulls down the entire hot air temperature to low levels. Thereby the hot air also comes down. So it is mixed with again cold air. So continuous mixture of cold and hot air at a short period is creating a lot of pollution, at particular, especially between ground level to the 6 feet. The entire pollutants are circulated as a cyclic, so that they are not getting dissipated. Only when the heavy wind is blown, only these particles can be dissipated. But that is not happening because there is no air from October months to January month. Only from February onwards, when the wind, south wind, I mean, the wind direction changes, the wind blows from Himalaya to the land, that time the entire pollution levels will be are reduced. So this is one thing which is very, very typical of India, and especially cities situated along the Himalayas. So that's why WHO has identified 22 most polluted city out of 30 in the world. So that's why we should be careful in India. So people who are going to visit temples everywhere in these months, it is advised, please do not go in these months to the North India, because the pollution levels are very high. And if at all, if you have to go, you have to go with the proper care. Only then will be rescued from these pollutants. So then I have shown you this. Then who are all the persons who are vulnerable for the air pollution? As I told you, children below the age of 12 and adults who are above 60 years, and those who got asthma and TB diseases. So these are the people who are highly vulnerable for air pollutants. Certain birds, animals are also vulnerable. All of us know that because of air pollution, we are not seeing the sparrows or gubbachu. We are not seeing it. Then the animals, some of the animals, frogs, number of variety of frogs have come down, and we are not able to see any number of frogs nowadays. The population of the animals, I mean frogs, also has come down. Similarly, we have also seen some of the butterflies and other things have also come down. So this is and some of the birds are not able to fly for long distances because of the acid rain, and also some of the gases they are taking inside. So it is happening, they are not able to fly for long distances. So this is one thing. Birds. Okay. Then let us go with some of the air accidents. So one of the air accident is Bhopal gas tragedy caused by Union Carbide of India. All of us know, so I'm not going in detail because of methosis in it. In the world itself, highest number of people died in a fraction of minutes, and also people, more than 5 lakh people, even after 5-6 years, how they suffered, their health are not becoming all right, and they have to spend a lot of money for keeping themselves healthy, and they have lost, people lost jobs also. So this is one thing all of us know. The second one we know is some of the thing is chlorine gas and LPG, liquid petroleum gas, or what gas we are using in our household. It is also very dangerous when you are inhale for longer time. But to avoid this accidental inhaling, Government of India acts mercaptans to this LPG so that you get a bad smell. So immediately, you know, there is a leakage in the LPG and try to arrest it. This is one thing. Apart from this, we all know that recently in Visakhapatnam, in the lockdown also, the Samsung polymer, they have also gas has come down. So because of that gas, in Visakhapatnam, at least some 50-60 people died immediately, and more than 1,000 people have become unconscious, and it took nearly more than a year for them to come back to the normalcy. So these are the accidents we should remember. We should be very careful. This is all not because of air pollution. This is because of the careless behavior of our nature. I mean, our working. We don't work properly. We never take care. We never use PPEs. We never give importance to the safety. Because of that, we are being exposed to these accidents. So other dust, this is what you have seen is because of the gases, whether it's methyl isocyanide is a volatile gas, then LPG is volatile gas, chlorine is a volatile gas, all these things, you know. What happens when the particles are there? Particles such as coal dust, asbestos, lead, manganese, cotton, cement, all these also affect our lungs. They also not only affect lungs, they affect our blood systems. Some of the, most of us commonly we see is cement dust. Cement dust, when it goes inside and sits in our alveoli, what happens there? Alveoli, there is a moisture. When cement goes and sits there, it becomes a concrete. So it will not allow the exchange of gases. It is very simple thing. Cement, all of us know, but still we go there without any proper PPEs, and then with long exposure, our life expectancy has come down because we are not able to breathe properly. When you don't breathe properly, naturally what happens? More carbon dioxide means more blood becomes thicker, and when they become thicker, you get the blood flow become restricted, then you'll get blood pressure. All these things are cyclic. Okay, one is breathing problem, then blood pressure problem, then comes failure of organs. So all these things are interlocked. So one should be very careful when you are with the pollution. When pollution levels are very high, please do not go out. If even now pollution is minimum also, try to be careful. Don't try to unnecessarily go out and expose yourself. If at all you want to go to cleaner places. And if you want for the purpose of work, if you are going to, you have to be on the outside, please wear PPEs as you are wearing for COVID-19 you are wearing now. Make it a habit, lifelong you should use it so that you are less exposed to these type of dust and gases. So with this, I would like to say thanks to all of you. And if you have any doubts, please pose questions to me. I'll try to answer. Please unmute your mics and you can question me, please. Or you can share your experiences also. You can share your experiences or you can question me. Participant, you can unmute and you can share your experiences, or if you have any doubts, you can ask me. Hello? Hello? Hello?
sir.
Because you want to close at 4:30, Nama?
Participants questions ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳ್ಬೋದು ಅಥವಾ ನಿಮ್ ಡೌಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾದ್ರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು ಸರ್ ಹತ್ರ.
ಹಲೋ ಮೇಡಮ್. ಹಲೋ
ಹಲೋ ಸುಧಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಕ್ವೆಶನ್ ಇದೆಯಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್?
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಇಕೋ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ
ಮ್ಯಾಮ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಮಾತಾಡಿ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
ನಾವು ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಕೋ ಕ್ಲಬ್ ಅಡಿಯಲ್ಲಿ
ಹಾ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಇದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಬೇಕಾ ಅಂತ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್, ಇಲ್ಲ ಒಂದ್ ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ. ನೀವು ರೆಗ್ಯುಲರ್ ಆಗಿ ಮಾಡಿಸೋ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಮಾಡಿಸಿ, ಇದು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಒಂದು ಅವೇರ್ನೆಸ್ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಮ್ಯಾಮ್.
ಅಷ್ಟೇನಾ? ಓಕೆ
ಓಕೆ.
Madam, shall I answer this, madam? ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಒನ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ ಹುಡುಗಲ್ ನೀವು ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಫ್ರೀ ಫಾಲ್ ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಿ. ಫ್ರೀ ಫಾಲ್ ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಕವರ್ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯು ಜಸ್ಟ್ ಅಲೌ ದ ವಾಟ್ ಎವರ್ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಇನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಯು ಕೀಪ್ ಒನ್ ಪ್ಲೇಸ್, ಅಲೌ ದ ಡಸ್ಟ್ ಫಾಲ್ ಆನ್ ಯುವರ್ ಪ್ಲಾಸ್ಟಿಕ್ ಶೀಟ್. ದೆನ್ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ದೇಲ್ ಬಿ ಭೂತ ಕನ್ನಡಿ ಇರುತ್ತಲ್ಲ, you ask the students to divide that into some 10-15 spheres. Ask each student to observe through the microscope what are the things they are finding in that dust.
Okay.
So that will give them idea what the dust has, how much concentration is there. So you can calculate and say istu area ge istu dust ide andre nodi now istu we are exposed to this many area, this many kilometers, istu dust barbodu. Like that you can educate them.
Okay, sir. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Any questions? Lata, I think you can close this.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಸ್ಟಾಪ್ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್.
ಪ್ಲೇಸ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ಬಿಡಿ.
ಹಾ ಸರ್. ಇವಾಗ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಪ್ಲೆಡ್ಜ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋಣ. I shall do my best for protecting the earth and its natural environment. I shall adopt such practices that minimize wastage. I shall reuse whatever I can. I shall take care to clean up the environment. I shall reduce the waste we create. I shall plant more trees. I shall conserve energy and water. I shall adopt green good deeds. Thank you, sir, for sharing the valuable thoughts. Thank you, participants, for participating in the training program. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
ಏನಿಲ್ಲ